For millions of Muslims, Ramadan is this incredibly sacred time of spiritual reflection and fasting. But what if you're living with diabetes? It brings up a whole bunch of unique challenges, right? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. A clear, actionable guide to fasting safely with diabetes during Ramadan.
At its heart, the fast is a profound act of faith. It's a duty for all healthy adults. And that word healthy is so key here. A lot of people with diabetes don't think of themselves as being unwell, and they have this deep desire to participate. So that creates a really important conversation we need to have.
So, this is the big question we're tackling. How do you balance this incredible act of faith with managing your health? It's not about choosing one over the other, not at all. It's about finding a safe way to honor both. And the great news is, with the right plan, it is absolutely possible for so many people. So, here's our roadmap. We're going to start with the basics of the fast itself, then dive into the specific health risks you need to know about. From there, we'll build out your game plan, starting with prepping before Ramadan, creating a playbook for your medication, and wrapping up with the essential safety rules for every single day.
First up, what is the challenge exactly? Well, the Ramadan fast means no food, no drink, and no oral medications from sunrise all the way to sunset. This totally changes your daily rhythm. Everything now centers around two main meals: suhoor, which is the smaller meal you have before dawn, and iftar, the meal that breaks the fast after sunset.
So, why is all this prep work so important? Well, it's because fasting completely changes how your body handles glucose. And that introduces some very real risks that we need to get ahead of. Honestly, understanding them is the first big step to preventing them. The number one concern during those long fasting hours, it's going to be hypoglycemia, or low blood sugar. This is when your glucose levels drop too low and it can leave you feeling dizzy, confused, or even worse. This is the biggest risk we've got to guard against between suhoor and iftar. And then you've got the other side of the coin, hyperglycemia, or high blood sugar. Now, the interesting thing here is this often happens after the fast is over for the day, usually right after that iftar meal, which can sometimes be pretty big and full of carbs. Managing that spike is just as important as preventing the daytime lows. All right, so to recap, we're really looking at four main risks. We've got the lows of hypoglycemia and the highs of hyperglycemia. But there's also the risk of diabetic ketoacidosis, or DKA. That's a serious issue where high blood sugar becomes toxic. And of course, just plain old dehydration from not drinking all day. Facing these four is exactly why having a solid plan isn't just a nice idea, it's essential.
So, how do we handle all this? It starts right here with your pre-Ramadan game plan. And let me tell you, this is without a doubt the single most important step in this whole process. Getting ready ahead of time is what turns a potential problem into something you can totally manage.
And this breaks it down perfectly. It's just four simple steps. Step 1, go see your doctor. Ideally, you want to do this about 6 to 8 weeks before Ramadan even starts. Step 2, they'll assess your personal risk level. Then step 3 is where you create your personalized management plan together. And finally, step 4 is getting that focused education so you know exactly what to do day in and day out.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty, your medication playbook. This is all about how to tweak your specific treatments to fit this new schedule of fasting and eating. And this is not a one-size-fits-all deal. It completely depends on the medications you're taking. Let's kick things off with metformin, since it's one of the most common ones. The adjustments here are pretty straightforward. If you take it once a day, you'll just move that dose to iftar. Twice a day? Simple. One dose at sahur, the other at iftar. And if you're on it 3 times a day, you'll take your morning dose at sahur and then combine the afternoon and evening doses into one single dose at iftar. Easy enough, right?
Now, this is a really important point when it comes to a class of drugs called sulfonylureas, or SUs. You see, not all of them are the same. The older ones, like glibenclamide, carry a much higher risk of causing low blood sugar, so they should really be avoided during Ramadan if possible. The modern SUs, like gliclazide, are a much safer bet and the preferred option for fasting.
So, for those modern SUs, here's how you'd typically adjust. If you take it once a day, you take your dose at iftar, but you might even need to reduce it if your sugars are already looking good. For twice daily dosing, you take your normal dose at iftar, but, and this is the key change, the suhoor dose is often reduced or even skipped altogether. This adjustment is critical for preventing those daytime lows. Okay, some good news. There are several classes of meds like DPP-4 inhibitors and GLP-1 receptor agonists that have a really low risk of causing hypoglycemia. A lot of the time, they don't need any dose changes at all.
SGLT2 inhibitors are also low risk, but they come with a super important warning. You have to drink more fluids during non-fasting hours to avoid dehydration. And of course, with any of these, you got to confirm the plan with your doctor.
Now, managing insulin, this is where the adjustments get really significant. For a long-acting or basal insulin you take once a day, you'll likely reduce the dose by 15 to 30% and take it at iftar. If you take it twice a day, the iftar dose usually stays the same, but the suhoor dose gets a huge cut by 50%. And for short-acting mealtime insulin, you'll take your normal dose at iftar, skip the lunch dose completely, and then reduce the suhoor dose by 25 to 50%. As you can see, these reductions are absolutely vital to stay safe. Okay, so you've done your prep, you've got your medication plan, now we can switch gears to the daily safety rules. Just think of this as your non-negotiable checklist for every single day of Ramadan. And that brings us to maybe the most critical question of all. When do you have to break your fast? There are times when, for your own safety, you absolutely must stop fasting for the day. And please hear this, that is not a failure. It is a necessary and incredibly responsible part of your plan. Here is the number. If there's one number you burn into your memory from all this, it's this one. Less than 3.9 millimoles per liter, or 70 milligrams per deciliter. If your glucose meter shows you this number or anything lower, the rule is simple. It's not a suggestion. You must break your fast immediately. And besides that critical low number, there are a few other triggers. You also have to break your fast if your blood sugar goes way too high, over 16.7. Or if you start feeling the symptoms of a low, the shakiness, the confusion, even if you can't check your monitor right away. And of course, it goes without saying, if you get sick for any other reason, your safety always comes first. Think of this as your daily toolkit for success. It means checking your blood sugar more often than you normally would. It means seriously focusing on hydration between iftar and suhoor. For that suhoor meal, try to pick foods with a low glycemic index, the ones that release energy slowly. At iftar, do your best to not go overboard on sugary or fatty foods. And finally, just be smart. Don't fast on days you feel sick. So, when you put it all together, all this planning, this monitoring, this adjusting, it all points to one goal, allowing you to have a deeply fulfilling spiritual Ramadan without putting your health on the line. The two can and absolutely should go hand in hand. And hey, the journey doesn't end on the last day of fasting. This is so important. After Eid, you have to book a follow-up with your doctor. You'll need to switch all those medication doses back to your regular, non-fasting schedule to stay on track. Look, we've seen that with good preparation and the right knowledge, safe fasting is totally possible for many people with diabetes. You now have the toolkit. You have the key information. So the only question left is, are you ready to take that next step and create your own personal game plan with your doctor?